today I'm going to change my transmission fluid on my Toyota Highlander. Here's the thing, I'm not doing a full flush. I'm not doing what they would do is if you were to take it to the Toyota dealership. But what I'm doing is just a regular drain and fill. This is only going to displace 4 quarts of fluid, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I've looked it up, I've done my research, it's not too difficult. I've never done it on this vehicle before. So this is going to be a little exploration to do this job. So here we go. Okay, I'm here under the vehicle. Whenever I'm under my car, especially my Highlander, I don't really like to lift the vehicle up because there's actually plenty of space for me to work, change my oil, stuff like that. I usually wear a hood or a hat or something to protect my head. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this front piece of plastic off. It's the one that would be directly under my engine, and over here is the transmission. But this whole thing comes off with 10mm bolts. Got that off really easy. Next thing I want to do is I want to take the fill plug cover and find the fill plug first, because I want to make sure that I take off the fill plug to know that I can refill it before I take the drain plug out. Behind the front left tire, back here, there's a little cover. And I don't know for sure because I haven't gotten to it yet, but it just takes a couple 10mm bolts. And I think the plug is right behind here. Okay, so I was wrong. That little thing behind the tire is not the fill plug. So I've actually, in my research, what I found is that some Toyotas have a fill plug and some do not have a fill plug. My fill is through my dipstick. As much as I don't like that, I did figure out that I do have a funnel, a little funnel, that I can get on there. It's going to be a little bit of a painstaking process, but I'm going to do it this way. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drain all of my oil into this pan. Now it is key that I know pretty much exactly how much I've taken out of my transmission. So after I've put it in that pan, which doesn't have any real measurement marks, I'm going to funnel it into this 1-gallon container. I'm supposed to, according to Toyota, the dealership, I'm supposed to be able to put back 4 quarts exactly. So I have 4 1-quart containers. Well, I'm gonna know exactly how much comes out of my transmission by putting it in this 1-gallon container. So one thing I need to mention is that before you do this, your transmission needs to be warm. It doesn't need to be super hot. Like, you don't need to go on the interstate for 30 minutes. You just need to drive your vehicle for 5 minutes and make sure that your temperature gauge of your engine is, where it usually is. That means your transmission is warm. You don't need to do it, like race and get it blazing hot. You just need it to be warm so the transmission fluid will flow. This stuff is usually pretty thick. So I'm letting this drain. It's just dripping. When it's done, I'm going to put the plug back on. One thing I do want to notice, I did need to purchase a new aluminum washer. This is your new seal. It doesn't have any rubber or anything like that, but this is your new seal between your drain plug and your transmission pan. So I will be putting this back on just like this, and that'll create the seal between the plug and the pan. It's 99% complete. There's just a little bit running. It's been a while. It's been almost 8 or 9 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and put the plug back on. I got the plug back on. I cleaned up the pan. I wiped all the excess drippage, and now I'm ready to go fill. Here's the engine. Down here is the dipstick. I want to pull it, so I'm going to set this aside. I do want to note that when you pull the dipstick, there is a note that says no need to replace ATF which was automatic transmission fluid under normal driving conditions. This is very controversial, so Toyota's going to tell you this, but every good Toyota mechanic and every mechanic that's been around forever is going to tell you that it does need change. It is a fluid and it does break down. Most of the time, people wait to change the transmission fluid until there is an issue. So a lot of times, shops and a lot of times dealerships will tell you never change your transmission fluid because they see people who have changed it after there's an issue, and the majority of transmissions that they have problems with, someone has changed the transmission fluid. I am under the impression on every vehicle I have pretty much owned in the past 10 years, I've changed the transmission fluid and it's made a difference in the vehicle. I'm under the impression that if you do it right and if you're very careful with it, it is the right thing to do and that you know what you're doing. So I'm gonna start the process of refilling this. Actually, before I forget, before we do that, we need to make sure that we're gonna put in the correct amount. So I'm gonna measure how much came out of there. So to be honest with you, I think that there was too much transmission fluid in my transmission, and I think someone at one time added some without draining it perhaps. So we're gonna find out. It looks to me in the pan that it's more than a gallon. You're only supposed to be able to take out 4 quarts from that drain plug, but right now I'll figure that out. So I have a tiny bit left in the pan, very small. That's maybe a cup or something. That's not a lot of fluid. And I have 4 quarts, 1 gallon right here. I think my transmission was overfilled, so I'm going to fill it with 4 quarts, and then I'm going to test the levels and see where it's at. This can be kind of a painstaking process because it's so slow. You definitely do not want to go quick when you're refilling through the dipstick. If it overflows, you've got transmission fluid anywhere. So you want to make sure, you want to go slow, and you want to make sure that it has enough air in the system to move down and not get stopped up. I got 4 quarts in. Now, it's totally useless to check your transmission fluid through the dipstick because you just poured all that transmission fluid through the dipstick. It's just gonna cover the whole stick. You're not gonna be able to tell. So I know that I displaced just over 4 quarts, just over, and I put 4 quarts back in. So I'm good. There's not gonna be a problem. If I don't have any leaks, which I don't, there is not gonna be an issue with what I just did. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish everything up. I'm gonna close everything up. I'm gonna put things back together. And then I'm going to check the transmission fluid tomorrow or later this evening when that transmission fluid settles down into that dipstick. I'm gonna check it cold and I'm also gonna check it hot. There's 2 measurements on your dipstick and you want to be within those markers. So if I don't have enough, I will add a little bit more. What I'm running on right now is going to be just fine if it's just a tad low, but right now it's totally fine. I will talk you through the process of starting up the car. So here's the process of starting the car. First, you just want to start the car. That's all you want to do first, just start it. With your foot on the brake, the next thing you want to do is pop it into reverse. We're gonna put it back in park. We're gonna pop it into reverse again. What this is doing is working the fluid within the gears. Let's go to neutral. We're gonna go to drive. We can pop it to standard. Let's go to drive again. What we're really doing is just getting the fluid and it worked within the gears. So once that's done, once you have it worked within the gears, you want to drive it. I'm going to take it for a drive, and what I'm going to try to do is get it through all the gears. That's what you want to do. You want to try to get the vehicle in all the gears. So I am going to take it on the highway real quick and then come back and make sure everything's okay. I am happy to report that it shifted the smoothest that it ever has. I'm going to check the transmission fluid again tomorrow and make sure everything is okay, but I almost guarantee that it's going to be fantastic. There's no leaks, no drips after I just drove it, so I think we're good to go. I want to tell you, and I want to encourage you, make sure you get the right transmission fluid for your vehicle. Do not cheap out on transmission fluid. It's not like engine oil that you change every 3,000, 4,000 miles. Transmission fluid usually lasts many thousand miles. My Toyota mechanic suggested I change my transmission fluid at 90,000 miles and then at 150,000 miles, so it's in increments of the age of the car. It's not necessarily a specific amount. My vehicle is just a little over 100,000, so I'm really glad that I did it, and I don't have to worry about it probably for the life that we will own the vehicle, because it's going to last you a long time. Do it right. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. Didn't need that many tools, just needed a few small things. I'm here to inspire you to do these things yourself. So if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, please hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.